Is to approve the agenda. Do we have any other changes to the agenda? Are we good?
We're good.
We're good? All right. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Okay, next item is to approve the November 15th, 2018 Planning Commission meeting minutes. Any comments?
I'll follow a motion to approve the November 15, 2018 Planning Commission minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Moving on to number 4, the Oak Tree Phase 3 final plat. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Erin.
Members of the commission, tonight we're reviewing phase 3 of the Oak Tree development. So a little bit of context of where we are. We are just south of Carver Elementary in the Carver Crossing project, off Jonathan Carver Parkway, north of the new Carver Square and current City Hall location. We've seen Oak Tree before us a couple times before, so running through the schedule that we've seen it, the first time was actually about 2 years ago at Concept Plan, December 15th, 2016. Council reviewed shortly after, January 3rd, 2017. Preliminary plat was in May of 2017, Council reviewed September, and then we've seen phase 1 and 2 come through the final plat process. So tonight we are again going for a final plat of phase 3. It's likely to go to Council at the first meeting in January, which is January 7th, 2019. So thinking a little bit about the site layout. So as you'll recall, phase 1 is directly adjacent to Jonathan Carver Parkway. We reviewed this, I think, I'm not going to make it up, early this summer. That was 63 units, a mix of the villas to the south, as well as the 60-foot wide units that are north, closer to the Carver Crossing project. We then reviewed phase 2, which was the introduction of the 65-foot lot. So that was the 18 in the center. So phases 1 and 2 do sit on either side of the trail connection that goes through a majority of the site to be owned and maintained by the city. And tonight, Oak Tree is before you for phase 3. So the red line on the screen shows the 97 houses that are being considered for platting tonight. So again, it's a mix of the 60-foot lots and then the 65. So the 60-foot lots on average are 7,218 feet, and the 65 are 7,802. So if you recall, the rezoning for this property was for an R2 PRD. The PRD spoke specifically to the villa models, so everything in phase 2 actually conforms directly to the R2 district. So thinking about that a little bit differently, if it was broken out into 2 separate projects, phase 3 could have hit that R2 district. So again, 97 single-family homes being platted tonight, the mix of 60 and 65-foot lots. This phase is a bit interesting. This is where Edgebrook Lane connects to Dahlgren Road. So we'll have another access point that's not directly off Jonathan Carver Parkway. There will be a southern access point directly onto Dahlgren Road. I'm going to back up a little bit and also note on the screen right now there is a yellow dash line that shows the sidewalk and trail throughout the development. So it is proposed throughout to make this neighborhood walkable. So again, this phase is consistent both with the PRD and R2 zoning that covers the entire site, as well as the preliminary plat. Additional details about landscaping. It does follow what's been reviewed previously at preliminary plat and the first 2 phases. So roughly, each lot will get an overstory tree with a large number of trees being preserved in that center outlot squeezed between phase 1 and phase 2. I'm going to open it up for discussion. Paul Tabone is here with Lennar if you have specific questions. Otherwise, everything, again, does conform to the preliminary plat.
Okay, I have a question. In the southwest corner of the property, between lots 63 and 64, there's a gap. It looks like an access to that outlot.
Correct.
Can you talk more about that? That seems like a weird gap in between houses.
Sure. So if there's a wetland or a pond that the city maintains, we do require access. So that's specifically so our public service team will be able to get back there and provide maintenance if necessary.
Okay, and so that piece of land between those 2 lots is then part of the outlot, and it is city maintained?
Correct.
So the city would mow it or whatever?
Yes. So anything that city maintained typically falls to us for maintenance.
Okay. All right, good. Go ahead.
Just one, well, I actually have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I have never seen the word cover story before. For trees?
overstory? Was it
Overstory,
with the C
yeah.
with the C in the beginning?
I did look it up. But the other question was on what's considered an insignificant tree? I think that was the term used.
Sure. So our city code calls for specific measurements of tree. So it's typically measured at like chest level, and it's 8 caliper inches or less. So if someone were to go out and measure around a tree, if it's 8 caliper inches or less, it's insignificant.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any other questions?
I have some questions, Madam Chair. Piggybacking on what Ms. McKnight said, with that kind of area that would be accessible for Public Works, around that lot 64, would that be eligible to put snow when we're at a spot where we need to place snow somewhere?
Sure. So as long as they don't need access throughout the winter, our public services team, I would say, gets pretty crafty with the locations that they can put it. But yes, that could be an option.
Okay. And then I'm also looking at the yellow lines that I understand are the sidewalks. And I believe Lot 19 in Plat 3, or Phase 3, is a sidewalk end there? Because I was hoping to see more of a continuous.
Is that in the northern portion? The numbers are...
It goes around the corner into
Just about
phase-
center, a little southwest.
Yeah, so I think it goes around that corner and goes up north and underneath the tube right there.
Yes, it does. I just highlighted the accessibility in Phase 3.
So it goes up north through Phase 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. That very technical term.
There, yeah. And then kind of in that same area, it looks like lots 95, 96, and I don't know the term for it. I want to call it a bump out, but the kind of ability to it's not a cul-de-sac, but
I don't know, what's that called?
is that something where there could be trees in the middle of it? Or it just seems like I would like to see maximizing more opportunities to get back to replacing some of those trees.
Sure,
And that
so-
would maybe, I would like it looked at if it was possible to have that be one of those areas.
Sure. So we typically call that a knuckle. So
What was it called? Sorry.
a knuckle,
Okay.
like a knuckle. And the radius in there, I would say that would be a great idea, but I don't think it's large enough to have an island. That also reduces the ability to have parking on the street generally and makes a little bit of a headache for our public services team with a plow. So it's a great idea and definitely could be explored in a full cul-de-sac, but something of this size, I don't think it would be an option.
And I'm guessing the reason the knuckle is there is because of emergency vehicles or larger vehicles to be able to get around, because that's a tight curve
Yes.
in there. There is some trees on the island in Phase 1. There's a little cul-de-sac at the southern part of it, and there
I see
is
that now. Thank
landscaping
you.
in there. Yeah, I remembered that from the previous one.
Madam Acting Chair,
Yes.
just a comment, please. I would just like to note when we have landscaping in those areas, I worry about public safety, sight of line, or line of sight, rather. And so trees concern me, although they're beautiful, and I love having the trees. I wondered if we were exploring those plantings further, if we could do maybe look into native plants or plants that would not interfere with people's ability to see as they're see little kids, see people mowing their lawns, animals going across the street, whatever it may be. And then the native plantings, of course, would help with runoff and some of those other things as well.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
Probably more so for the developer. I know that this question was asked back in this past summer to get approval for Phase 2, but similar for Phase 3. Trying to seek approval how are sales going for the development? You know, I live just north of the development there. I know that there is a model there. I don't know if the second model, the north east corner, is fully completed or not yet, but how's the process going? I mean, we are going into the third phase of this development here with little to no building as of right now, other than what has occurred with I guess, the frost going into the ground with getting curb and gutter in and the top layer asphalt in and so forth. So if you could just maybe provide an update as to how things are going with the overall development, that'd be great.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is Paul Tabone. I'm an entitlement manager with Lennar. To answer your question, interest is going well. Actually, I was on the phone with our sales team. We just released the first phase for sale today.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not today. A couple of weeks ago, but we're still finalizing a few of the details and had been talking to Aaron about some of the things that we were working through getting that phase up and running. I don't know the latest sales numbers. Part of the strategy in doing this, though, is you want to stay about a year ahead of the curve. So currently, we have the modified split levels available for sale, and we have the villas available for sale. So the reason why we're trying to work through the what we call our traditions, or your traditional single-family homes, is because we want to be in a good place to be able to bid the plans and tee them up for construction in the spring. So we really have a true diversification of product between the villas, the mods, and the traditional single-family. So apologies, I don't have the latest numbers. I know that interest is strong and have been working with our sales team as they get everything up and running.
Thank you.
I did have just one, maybe you make a comment about this. The other access point onto Dahlgren Road, I know there's quite an elevation change coming from around that corner down to Dahlgren Road. Do we have any concerns? I mean, I'm trying to look at one of the elevations. I think it's at least 15 feet.
So this is an area we've studied pretty hard collectively as a staff with the development team, trying to make it the most accessible route to keep it the safest as possible.
Yeah.
And we do feel comfortable that we've made the best option for what is going to be a pretty steep Edgebrook Lane going on to Dahlgren. We've also been meeting periodically with the property owners currently along Dahlgren Road as construction continues, if they have concerns with runoff, how the construction is looking. So we're keeping an eye on it, but we do believe it's the best location.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I think because it's more far west from Jonathan Carver, plus the access into the commercial area, that probably makes it a little bit safer. I'd agree. And can you remind me what's happening with the property in between this one and Dahlgren Road?
So just south is privately owned.
It's privately owned, so it's
Yes.
not owned by the city?
No.
Okay. Could it be developed?
I would say it might be a little bit challenging due to the steep slopes in there.
And it's platted residential, I'm assuming,
Correct.
or it's proposed that way? Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
No further questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the final plat for Phase 3.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any communications or anything else we need to know about?
I have one.
Oh, good.
The comp plan is about 80% posted right now on the city's website.
Oh, okay.
Going to have it done by the end of the day tomorrow. So I'll send you a link when it's fully out for review.
So is it posted for our review or is it posted for all city?
Both.
Okay. So all residents can review it as well?
Correct, yes. I'll do a social media blast about it tomorrow too.
Okay.
Hopefully to get some interest in people reviewing some of the information.
Okay. Awesome. Anything coming for next month?
Not that I can see